name is Rashi Editor from Elets Technomedia and the Banking and Finance Post Magazine. Banking and Finance Post Magazine is India's one of the leading B2B magazines in the BFSI domain that has been highlighting the trends, technologies, and what speakers and leaders talk about trends and technologies that are shaping the sector overall. And today we are here with yet another episode of Let's Innovation Talk. So prior to beginning this innovation talk, I would like to give a brief on the initiative. We began this initiative during the COVID pandemic when conversations went virtual, and we all needed something that motivated us to help us continue what we are doing. And we thought that let's start the innovation talk so that leaders can, share their success stories, their challenges, their real life experiences, and we get a motivation to go ahead with whatever we are doing wherever we are. And with this we started the Let's Innovation Talk, and with the grace of God we are still continuing it. And thank you for the leaders who are helping us taking this forward. And with this I start the yet another episode of Elets Innovation Talk. And today we've been joined by Mr. Alok Kumar. He's the co-founder and chief technology officer from Karza Technologies. Welcome, Mr. Alok. Thank you so much for joining us today at Elets Innovation Talk.
Thanks, Rasi, and thanks for the opportunity. I mean, really
Yes,
sort of
definitely.
happy to be a part of it.
So, prior to starting this conversation, I would like to uh, give you a brief on what Karza Technology does. Karza Technologies is largest data analytics, automation, and decisioning solution provider of two FIs, catering to the entire lending life cycle from onboarding to diligence and monitoring to collections. Karza Technology Solutions enable systematic fraud prevention, risk management, compliance, and automation through superior data engineering and deep tech application. That's a very impressive brief of a company that has just began its journey a few years ago, and proceeding ahead with the technology innovation thing. So congratulations, Mr. Kumar, for this wonderful work that you have been doing. So with this, we will start this conversation. The first question from my side to you would be, how do you rate India's readiness to the adoption of technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning in banking institutions or financial institutions overall? What's your view here?
I think this is a great time. What we are seeing that in the banking sector, particularly, there is already a quite impressive adoption of AI, ML, which has already happened. And broadly, I mean, if you look at even the largest of the banks and the most traditional of the banks, also you can see chatbots coming in, which is one of the implementations of obviously NLP and different AI techniques. So, and again, this is not just about you're looking at chatbots, but if you look at even the way onboardings are happening, the process to go as digital as possible. And for a lot of things, again, you can look at computer vision techniques to automatically read documents, perform the OCR, to do a face match, to even check whether the person in front of the camera is an actual human or it's just a pre-recorded video or a pre-recorded image. So broadly, even in the entire onboarding space, there's a massive adoption of AI ML that we're already seeing. And and it's not just during the onboarding or during the customer experience or during the customer interactions, but the same trend is broadly which we can see across the entire life cycle, be it in terms of the way uh, the banking sector is looking at even your due diligence, background checks, to your compliance, email screening, to even basically looking at your underwriting models. So fundamentally, I guess AI and ML is just finding the penetration across the entire journey. And other one of the major accelerators or something that is also quite interesting to see is the entire neobanks, the way these guys are coming in, and they have been able to show the power of customer experience using technology as the real sort of differentiator, adopting various AI, ML, big data, RPA techniques. And when they're trying to create sort of the that those differentiators broaden the entire as the BFSI sector, and the banking sector is also taking that as another motivating factor. In fact, something which was which recently I was a part of it, and it was really sort of nice to see that even RBI, even at their level, they are pushing a lot for these kind of things. They themselves are organizing events. And when I sort of I participated in the event as one of the speakers, it was really great to see that there was participation from various banks. And it's because of the largest banks, they have been sending their senior tech folks, senior decision makers, who are trying to understand how AI and ML is being leveraged, across the fintech sector. What are neobanks trying to do? How can banks adopt to it? So, I mean, the entire ecosystem is quite I'll say bullish and quite welcoming to the AI and ML. So, I mean, really sort of looking forward to a lot of cool stuff happening in near future.
Absolutely. A lot of things you spoke about RBI. RBI has become very positive recently. We've seen, setting up of innovation hubs and all that. They have a separate department to handle that.
Absolutely.
So that's something which is a very positive news for leaders who are helping technology grow. So yes, moving ahead, the next question for today's conversation would be: as a CTO, how are you leveraging SaaS-based solutions to create new business frontiers?
Sure. So, I mean, the philosophy that we have at Karza is broadly to build things as much as in-house. Uh, so, I'll say that for a majority of the stuff that we have built, mostly it is either relying upon the PaaS component, which is platform as a service, or infrastructure as a service. But having said that, I mean, I would definitely like to highlight the significance and the importance of SaaS. Even when we started, initially we did not have our own in-house, let's say, core OCR models. But we saw that these are the pressing use cases, and these are absolutely required for the industry. So we started piggybacking upon some of the cognitive SaaS offerings from the leading players, and that gave us the initial quick acceleration. While we took our time to do set up our own R&D team, get these core models ready. So we don't have to miss out on that 1 or 2 years period where we can quickly sort of leverage the best SaaS providers in the at global level actually, and then leverage that. And I think the same trend is quite I'll say promising for a lot of startups, even not just startups, but a lot of even giant banks or NBFC or fintechs, where a lot of stuff where while you have some time to build it in house, or maybe it doesn't make sense to build it in house, right? If there's something which is already good, you can quickly leverage that. So in terms of SaaS, obviously we with our journey also, there was a lot of adoption of the cognitive offerings that gave us acceleration around OCR or face match, or even let's say something like a negative news screening, where we could piggyback upon all sort of news feeds, do sentiment analysis, perform different sort of NLP, to even some of the journeys like to understand the speech data to extract what the person is speaking and all of those things. So definitely it's a great accelerator. But today, at least in our journey, where we are seeing a lot of value still is the entire PaaS component, something like a serverless offering, where whatever infra we have built, or whatever is sort of the infrastructure on which our algorithms and our models are running, that is quite scalable. And I mean, the beauty is that it can scale from almost no load to loads of thousands of concurrencies you can have in a matter of few minutes, and all of that without sort of spending money on managing servers, by thinking the worst case that, hey, at peak loads I might need this sort of infrastructure. That's a massive saving. And also one of the things that doesn't come sort of straight away, but again that's really important and adds a lot of value when you look at the BFSI sector, is your compliance on any forms of security. Because if you look at these PaaS components, they are compliant to some of the best security standards, PCI, HIPAA, you name almost any leading and stern standard. By default, the platform that you're using is compliant to it, which is also quite It's quite sort of useful for us because mostly if you're working with a bank expects similar security standards, similar level of compliance, in, in the entire architecture that we have. So yeah, a lot of value addition at all levels, not just SaaS. It depends, what are we trying to solve? How much you want to do in house, how much you want to probably, piggyback upon. So great, the cloud is in itself a massive accelerator for all of us.
Thank you so much for the word of motivation. That's what I started this conversation with. That there are challenges. You spoke about hiccups. You spoke about problems, but moving ahead with that and solving it with technology when we are in between uncertain times when we don't know what we are supposed to do in the next year. 5 year plans are now a thing of the past, so something like that where you are future ready is something which is very it's a matter of appreciation. So talking about future readiness and uncertain times, let's talk about disruptions. We all know it's a common phenomena for the banking sector and the BFSI sector overall, because every day we are getting to know about new deployments. So how has been your journey pertaining to digital transformations and in the new digital economy? So how do you want to sum up this conversation with your views?
Sure. So, luckily, I mean, at least as of now, there are few areas where at least our partners sort of do recognize the impact that we have created in terms of being the market disruptors. Would be one of the digital onboarding, where we have the largest suite of offerings. You can probably look at any type of authentication, and we have been able to automate that for our clients. So something that they might have to do manually, or they might have to do something in a much more cumbersome way, we have been able to simplify that and reduce the cost significantly for them, and also improve the tax so that you can do it quicker and cheaper. So that's definitely one area where we are proud to host the largest suite of offerings. And broadly, you name any big player in the BFSI industry, be it like we're speaking about any sort of major private bank or a insurance company, or any NBFC. Uh, we have been lucky enough to sort of penetrate almost the market in a very deep, as well as at a very horizontal level. So breadth and depth we have achieved. The second area also where fundamentally, I think that the kind of intelligence that we're bringing around your due diligence background checks, mostly for the entities, any entity which is listed in India, we are profiling them using almost more than 2,000 different sources, which is basically which was never seen before. And many times, even our clients are sort of learning from us that, hey, we never used to look at these factors. Let's see, what were we missing out on, and broadly the kind of appreciation that we get there is also quite motivating for us. So that's basically at the thematic level. To also just put some numbers into perspective, we are already seeing broadly more than 20 lakh different API calls every day around onboarding itself. So that shows the sort of the penetration that we have. We are live with approximately 300 clients around the BFSI sector itself. Uh, we have already pre-profiled almost 2.5 crore businesses in the country. We have identified, I mean, more than 200 crores of related parties across these business entities. We are looking at more than 200 negative signals, uh, uh, you know, and I already spoke about the kind of data sources that we're covering. So with all of that, just in the onboarding space itself, what we estimate, and this is a slightly older number, but we have already been able to sort of avert frauds worth more than 25 billion INR. Broadly, we see a significant, almost 70% time that we save, in terms of the TAT for some of the onboarding use cases. So yeah, all in all, we have been fortunate enough to, sort of build these products with the right time, and industry also have been quite open to these suggestions, these products, and the numbers definitely keep us quite motivated.
That's a very good sign of growth. You have already shared your future plans and hopeful is something that's the biggest pillar to success. And you spoke about background checks, eKYC, something which adds a lot of convenience to the customers, because carrying so many papers to the bank and doing it at home at your piece when everything is there next to you. So it adds a lot of customer acquisition, and becomes very easy, and customers know that things have been personalized for them. So that's a very good sign of growth and hope. So moving ahead, we were talking about new initiatives that you have taken. You spoke about disruption, you spoke about challenges and your plans. Now API is something that is every leading bank is into API. They're working with various fintech companies for APIs. So I would like to know that what are your future plans pertaining to API? What are you incorporating in connection with API? And when would we be able to see the products, the final products?
Sure. So one of the something that we are working upon, we spoke about the the entire due diligence platform, and also we spoke about underwriting. Now, what we are trying to do is that can we simplify both underwriting and sort of due diligence, background checks, everything, for any lender in the country today. So the idea is to, we are trying to unify and build sort of scores, so that those scores itself can, look at your underwriting use cases. And there, uh, what we see that, the current sort of approach is quite, it's sort of broken, that, you're looking at probably, let's say, just the bank statements, or you're looking at probably, just the balance sheet. Can I look at the bank statements, balance sheets, your GST ITR returns, and then can I also look at, how is the business sort of organized, who are the sort of the KMPs, what is also the profile of the company, are we seeing any, say, negative signals, probably, in any of the negative sources, be it an AML check, or looking at different type of, negative data sources, court records, so broadly, how do you unify a world which is so scattered today, and just one, obviously we simplify that in terms of a score, and, give sort of the very pointed sort of feedback that, hey, this is what is going well, this is what is not going well, so that eventually, something as complicated as underwriting and, background checks, due diligence, can be really simplified. uh, we uh, we already have the granular APIs. We have, granular data points already made available, very, in a very seamless manner to our clients. But then we want to build a layer of intelligence that simplifies things up to the greatest possible extent. So that's one of the futuristic things that we're working on, and we are definitely, putting our best efforts to sort of bridge that. Secondly, also, what basically we are will continue to do is that, get more into whatever range of automations that we have built. So for example, if in all of the areas, for example, when looking at just the OCR piece, we are also trying to build, further checks that you can obviously read out the documents, whatever is being written, we can provide that in a structured format. But can I also highlight that, hey, in these areas something looks fishy, something might have been tampered, so from a fraud perspective, there's more intelligence that, our clients can have. Similarly, in terms of, we have the video QIC solution, we have video liveness, we have passive liveness, but can we take it one step further, and I can get into video analytics, where I can probably say that, this is how the sentiments of the sort of the person in front of the camera is what we can sense, and some of it can also act as signals for, let's say, some of the personal discussions, where, you can probably see even some of the stuff that probably, yet to see, but, how the expressions are changing, what is happening with the heartbeats and all of those things. So that's another sort of, area where we are further going to extend our cognitive intelligence today that we have. And broadly, yes, we also have plans to look at the global markets, the GTM strategy that we have, that whatever we have done for India, can we also do it for other countries, and what we see that in, it is in the banking. a lot of things that that's happening here is quite phenomenal, and probably we are one of the leaders globally. So the idea is that sort of whatever best is happening here, can we take that and put it to other geographies as well. So these are some of the quick themes that I can just highlight. Obviously there's this much more, but yeah, at least these are some of the things where we are quite focused.
Yeah, that's true. And when we talk about BFSI sector, it is always at the front runner of using technologies. And you spoke about India. Yes, I was in the month of July only. Union Bank of India, they did something on metaverse that was it was not expected from a PSB to take a lead, but that is
Absolutely.
something which it shows that how excited is everybody about every piece of technology. They want to get connected to their customers very well. And today I've seen the HDFC Bank is also exploring the Lola Kuti part with the Vigilante. So everybody is into technology.
Absolutely.
They're connecting more with their customers with technology. So that is what India is doing well, and we are hopeful that we're going to
Absolutely.
see very much.
Absolutely. We are doing a phenomenal job, and all players, fintech, banks, NBFC, even the government. I mean, they are doing again a phenomenal job. The way we have been opening up data sources, account aggregation framework. In fact, our parent company Perfios, with there we also have very aggressive plans on account aggregation. We are doing there as well. Have onboarded many PSUs actually. I mean, we're working with them, some of the largest banks. So absolutely, the way government has been, just I mean, it's really phenomenal to see the entire ecosystem being really tech savvy, really innovative.
Absolutely. Now, the last question of this conversation would be on RPS. I would like to know from you. You spoke about artificial intelligence and machine learning, and now let's go to robotic process automation. That would you be able to give us few examples on RPA and the business processes, the challenges that you've been facing to prevent RPA implementation failure, and how do you overcome these challenges? How would you what would you like to say in this regard?
Sure. So I'll first speak from the perspective of building these solutions, because broadly we have been shipping sort of products which kind of achieve what RP aimed towards, right? That things which are being done manually, can that be automated? So one of the things where we took a slightly different approach, that we thought that let's focus on building the Lego blocks, because if you look at the RPO, the entire journey can be different across players. So rather than changing individual journeys and work in a customized manner, take a slightly services approach to each and individual use case, we looked at what are we trying to solve, what are the most pressing problems, and let's see what are the most reusable core components that we need to build. And then we started building all of these Lego blocks, and then we can go to any player and we can say that, hey, what's your problem, what are we trying to do here, right? And the other Lego blocks that we have, we can combine in this specific manner to solve your problem. And this is the reason why, even with a much smaller team, I will say. Obviously, we have grown significantly, but still, if you look at the entire journey, it was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 member team, 80, 100. That's how we have grown. And catering to 300, 400 clients. And I mean, if you are working with the giants, they still have, some level of, because every bank, even at surface, might look similar, but internally there's their systems are different, their processes are slightly different. So achieving all of that was possible because we had that modular thought process. And now if you look at the Lego blocks, that's interesting problem, because if you look at RPA, it's not just about AI, it's not just about big data, it's not just about a specific tool. It's not just about having a very good sort of just building scalable systems, correct? It requires you to excel at all of these places. I mean, you have to research market really well, you have to know what you are doing, because some of the problems can be extremely complicated. You don't want to solve something which is extremely complicated, it's just innovative on paper, and if and and then something which you cannot deploy even, or maybe the market is not ready for it, right? Probably an example can be, you can build probably, let's say, uh, 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 I mean, you can say that, I have created a model which can give you an underwriting score. You go and try to sell that to a bank who have their own underwriting models or their own engines which have been tuned, vetted for years and years. They are not going to accept a new model, day one itself. It will have its own journey. It's because that is something which is core to them, and they are doing a great job. At least their underwriting models, whatever they do, right? I mean, it's not that we are dealing with NPS every day and the entire banks are swamped with NPS, right? They are still being profitable. They are doing good. So again, we have to understand, what has to be done, what you don't want to touch it right now. Yes, there's time and there's approach which needs to be sort of tuned. That's one thing that we have seen. Also, I mean, a lot of times we have to innovate. So what I meant is, say, OCR solution itself. When we are building OCR solution for KYC documents, what we could see, right, that even with some of the best SaaS offerings or the best sort of products which are out in the market, the success rates were good, but where we want to differentiate ourselves was that, hey, we can probably provide the best. Yes, we are solving a specific problem. We are not creating probably a solution which can work on any random document in the universe, but can I do the best for a specific type of a problem statement, and can I get an accuracy which is resulting into a massive optimization for the entire journey itself. So that's just an example. So you pick your battles wisely, and once you pick them, just go all in, because at times, with RPA, the evaluation is at times you're comparing with a human. It's not with probably a program. When we're building our name match algorithm, we never evaluated it as how my algorithm is performing, but we're always thinking that am I doing a job which is probably as good as a human who is manually eyeballing whether these two names are same or not. And then the approach was that how humans think about names. Gender is one thing. If gender is different, it's a mismatch. What is the surname? Because father's name in India is optional, right? So can I identify father's name? So I mean, this is thought process is where again I think RP is slightly different. So that's one. As someone who wants to avail these services, something that again is slightly linked. Know what you are expecting broadly, because it one way it sounds, one way it's good to have the wish that everything can be automated, but there's a cost to automate everything. Is the cost and the benefit is something that we are convinced with is really important, because we do see sometimes that I don't have volumes, I'm getting a document which has, or there's a problem statement where I don't have volumes, and it requires a sort of a human level cognitives across multiple places. It's not just about reading out documents. It's not computer vision, it's computer vision, NLP, some domain knowledge, some psychology, some other interactions, some common sense. It's hard to build a general purpose AI model, right? When we are speaking about a difficult a very innovative implementation of different AI techniques, at the same time I don't have the sufficient volume, sufficient sort of the business value. So not the right thing to pick. Secondly, what we have seen that with RPA, you have to really define that how do you look at the success, because it's not that if you're whatever you have built, if it's working for two things or 20 things or 200 things, it's going to keep on working for each and every new scenario. So it's important to understand. So I mean, because a lot of time RP techniques are built on top of some cognitive offerings which have their own boundary cases. So have a very comprehensive evaluation criteria. Have the expectations right. When you're interacting, when you're looking at these use cases, invest time in defining success criteria. Don't just look at one demo and either be sold or just say that this product is not good. You have to spend more time in evaluating what's going to happen, and that works best for all the parties.
That's true. You spoke about, everybody in India, basically, if you talk about digital, is something that everybody is still connected with. And doing it exclusively on technology where, there's no physical touch, there is no human touch, is little bit difficult to convince people because they don't know, they don't wish to believe what they don't get to see. I think augmented
Absolutely,
reality.
absolutely.
Right. So augmented reality is something which is, somewhere getting closer to it, where you get a face of the person you're speaking to. So you know
Right.
that this is what I'm seeing and this is the person you connect with. So I
Right.
believe that in future we are going to get see that as well. And I really loved the word use of the word Lego, because Lego looks like a child play. It's very attractive, but it's hard to build. And it has its own charm, and it looks very different from the products that are available in the market. You use that word, that is something unique, and I really liked it in the conversation. um, so, with this, I would like to end this conversation here. Does not mean that we will not continue to be talking about technology innovation. We will be seeing you next time once again in this innovation talk with new projects and new trends and new stories that you would love to share with us, and which will help our viewers connect well with the innovations that are happening in and around the BFSI sector. And to the viewers who are watching us today, next time when we will see somebody as bright as Mr. Kumar, who will be sharing his stories and helping us, continue our projects and targets that we are progressing with amid the uncertain times. So this, thank you so much. So this is Rashi Aditi Ghosh signing off today, and thank you so much, Mr. Kumar, for joining us today for this conversation.
Thanks, Rashi.
It's wonderful talking to you.